Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about the heavy club side-to-side rocket. This video falls into a big series of videos where we are working on learning heavy club technique, talking about all the individual coaching cues so that people can understand what heavy club swinging is. Heavy club swinging is like Paleolithic Olympic lifting. Athletes will run an Olympic lifting program for 5, 8, 12 years. The same thing is true of heavy club swinging. The difference between something like barbell is a symmetrical load where you can use super heavy weights. Club swinging is a lever where we use intermediate weights, but we go for intermediate amounts of time. The thing that clubs do that barbells don't do very well at all is load rotation from side to side. This exercise is specifically about loading side hip snap, which is something that is very hard to train with barbell. You can train it with kettlebell, you can kind of train it with dumbbell, but it is easiest to train with heavy club. The side-to-side rocket falls into the deadlift family of movements, and it starts to build into what we think of as inside and outside pendulums, which is what you might think of as inside and outside hang power cleans. Our basic deadlift family of movements, we put our weight in our heels, we point our feet generally straight ahead because that's the way we walk. Later on with heavy club swinging, we will combine this movement into stepping patterns. So when we are training it, because it's an intermediate weight, we are going to focus on pointing our feet straight ahead. Push your hips back at the bottom. Your weight is in your heels. If our knees are really far forward, this will not work. We drive our weight back to load our posterior chain, the muscles in the back of our body. At the bottom of the load, think 2 arms straight, like it's a deadlift. We will simply rotate our body one way. One knee will drive forward, one knee will drive back, 2 arms will remain straight. We will stand up in the middle, point our arms to the other way, and go down. Now the opposite leg is driven forward, one leg is driven back. Stand up, rotate load, stand up, rotate load, stand up, rotate load. When we pick up our club, we pick it up like a deadlift. Weight is in our heels, push the hips back, crown to coccyx alignment remains straight. We want a straight spine throughout the movement. Our spine will rotate, but it will not roll. When we pick up the club, we pick it up like it's a deadlift. Both elbows are straight. We do not have one elbow bent in any type of deadlift for the most part. We are going to have to rotate our spine slightly to get the hand closest to the knob to get that elbow perfectly straight. Stand up, rotate both straight arms, drive your shoulders away from your ears, squeeze your triceps, touch down. Stand up, rotate the other way, touch down. In the beginning, we are touching down so that people can work on their position, straightening out both arms, driving the shoulders away from the ears, and making sure that we aren't rolling our spine. Spine is still straight. Hips rotate very slightly. One side of the hip is forward, one side of the hip is back. That's why it's a side hip snap. Stand up, touch, stand up, touch, stand up, touch, stand up, touch, stand up, touch. It is still a deadlift family of movements. It is essentially going to become a hang side to side deadlift. Whichever side the club is on, the opposite hip is loaded. When we go to the other side, the side that the club is on has moved, the hip load has moved. One hip is not doing all the work. Think of it as 60-40. Think of it as 40-60. It could be more extreme than that as weight gets heavier. It could be 70-30. It could be 70-30. When you are done with the exercise, set the club all the way down with good technique. Whenever you pick it up and set it down, it is a deadlift position. If we do the exercise with our right hand closest to the tip of the club, then we must also do an equal amount of time or reps with our left hand closest to the tip of the club. This is not like a barbell deadlift. In a barbell deadlift, you're going for max weight and generally lower reps. Usually, let's say 1 to 5 reps. If you do CrossFit, you might do intermediate weights for 10 to 20 reps of deadlift. But for the most part, barbell training focuses more on strength. For the most part, that is a generalization. Club training is focused on strength endurance. That means that people must learn to line up their structure, their breathing, and their movement for longer periods of time. In the beginning, this is done on a 30-second timer, and you're trying to get quality reps in that amount of time. And then you're trying to move faster during that amount of time. This is endurance weightlifting. Over time, it can build up to 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Those are the most commonly trained time frames, 30, 60, and 90, but this can build up to something like 4 minutes. Most sports are endurance exercises. Football is an endurance exercise, soccer is an endurance exercise, rugby is an endurance exercise, MMA is an endurance exercise. Boxing, you have 3-minute rounds. Mountain biking, you have as much time as it takes to get down the hill. If you're an equestrian, it takes you as much time as it is to go the entire length of the course. So you can start to tailor your time frames to your sport specifically. Endurance hip snap is something that everybody should focus on because almost everybody needs it. This is a deadlift position. One knee drives forward, one knee drives back. You're learning to rotate the hips from having them pointed straight ahead to pointing them 45 one way to pointing them 45 the other way. If your heels are on the ground, your feet are straight ahead, and both elbows are locked, you're probably doing it generally correct. The goal is to keep a straight spine, and the spine rotates about its vertical axis in conjunction with the hip, which is something that every athlete needs for every sport that you might play.